You're listening to the Famvestor Podcast. If you're looking to raise your family with intention, gain financial independence, and live a life of true freedom, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore together how to create thriving families, because strong families are the cornerstone for a world at peace.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Famvestor Podcast. Super excited today. We are talking with the couple who really helped us kind of get our start in real estate. We were looking at our first deal and I didn't know what to do. You know, there's some things that we were like, oh, what do we do? And, you know, I was looking through Bigger Pockets, you know, the feed, and I was like, oh, who's in my local area? And I stumbled upon this profile and I just like reached out with a quick message, a PM, private message. And I was like, hey, you know, I see you went to the same school I did. I don't know who you are, but, you know, and you live close to the place I'm looking at. Would you mind coming out? And then, so our guest here, Marcin, and his wife, Joanna, actually both of them came and looked at the property with us and kind of gave us the reassurance that, you know, this was a good deal. They were like, oh yeah, that's no problem. That's like $50 there, $100 there. And we were like, oh, okay. And it kind of gave us the reassurance that we could do this. So I'm so happy to announce Joanna and Marcin onto the show. So welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, so excited. And I didn't really give any background, but, you know, Joanna's an accountant and Marcin is he is in finance in New York City. So, you know, they're both working full-time still in their jobs, but also doing so much on the side. You know, they have buy and holds in the North Jersey area, and then they're also doing flips very actively. And what I like about them is they seem very similar to us, where we kind of try to manage the whole thing. It's not like they have private funding and they have general contractors and they have this whole big operation. They kind of do the whole thing amongst themselves. They manage the whole operation. They manage all the funding. And you're buying deals in cash too, right, Marcin, in the New York City area?
Primarily, yes.
Yeah, so I think that's just really cool and something very unique about you two and how you're handling this real estate entrepreneurial activity.
Yeah, we try.
So I guess, you know, both of you are fairly young, I think 30 and 32, so that's same age as us, and that's really cool. I guess I'm sure a lot of listeners are very curious, you know, like what was your journey like, how you got started? Maybe we'll even just talk about maybe a little bit of your background. Like, did you guys grow up in a real estate investing family? Were you guys born wealthy? Like, in terms of like family, finance, and freedom, where does your origin story begin?
So we were both born in Poland. I came to the U.S. when I was 8, and no previous real estate background in the family.
Oh, wow.
To answer that quickly. I started before we get to that, we met when I actually went back to visit, family back in Poland. I think we met when was
2009.
that? 2009.
Okay.
And we kind of started, staying in touch and whatnot. And eventually Joanna came here for vacation. I went back there and eventually she moved here permanently.
Cool. So 11 years ago you guys met.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then you moved here
2013.
For 13, yeah.
13, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember
Summer
dates.
2013.
Wow,
Right.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And no prior real estate background for her and her family either. And so I attended my undergraduate and graduated in 2011 and started working, and I was also living at home at the time. So I was saving money and wanted to invest into something. And I started looking at real estate because I had a neighbor who was actually flipping houses, unsuccessfully at the time, but he was doing it. And a funny story, now he's pretty much half retired in Hawaii and flipping from there. So it worked out well for him in the end. I started looking at potential houses, and I didn't know anything about how to fix a house. I had no tools. I had zero skills in any sort of, handiwork. Wow. But I figured I'll try it. Worst comes to worst, you learn something. And, we were just looking on the MLS, seeing what's out there, not knowing how to run comps, just the basics of what would a nicer house sell for, similar to this, but not really going, deep into it. And we found a property here in our town that looked like it had potential. So we went to the open house, we put in an offer, and we got it. And that was in 2012, so about a year after graduating. It was a regular, 20% down payment, and then just, paying out of pocket for the renovation, doing a lot of work myself with my dad. Joanna wasn't here yet.
Yeah.
And, just working after hours from my day job, working weekends. It was pretty brutal, but, took about 6 months, but we got it done. And it was successful. And then just from there, it took off.
That's awesome. So I'm curious, how much you bought it for. You said it took 6 months, how much money you poured into it, and then how much you eventually sold it for. Was that a successful flip, that first one?
Yeah, so I bought it for $250 flat. We sold it for, what did I sell for? 300. I think it was 360 or 365. I don't remember exactly.
So over 100K. And how much did you put into
renovation roughly was around 40 to 45,000.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact number at this point.
But you profited over 50,000 on that in 6 months.
Yeah, and after paying the realtor fee and after paying taxes and the holding costs, it was around 40 to 50,000 profit.
That's sweet.
Wow, that's definitely, I think, an eye-opening experience to realize you can do this kind of business and turn almost a whole year's income for some in a matter of half a year or less.
It was really amazing. It also sold in about the second day it was on the market.
Oh wow!
So that was another nice plus. It was definitely a good start. Hearing other people's stories about terrible first flips, losing money, things going really bad. This one went very well. There was obviously some luck to it because again, it wasn't extremely well researched on my end. But it worked out. It worked out. So we just kept going from there, buying more flips and rental properties.
So now this was back in 2011, you said?
2012.
2012. And Joanna, you were still living in Poland at the time. So Marcin, you were kind of handling this on your own on this end. Did the two of you talk about the dream of getting into real estate investing, or was this just sort of something at the time that Marcin, you were experimenting with and later brought Joanna on board and up to date with your endeavors?
We never really talked about it too much.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like, oh, I'm just doing this thing,
And then I came and I joined.
Yeah.
Was that a hard transition for you? Or you're like, oh yeah, you're doing pretty good with it. I'm on board.
No, she was good. She was great.
It was nice because we were doing the same thing and we could spend time together. Because if I wasn't interested in it, then he would be working there all the time and I would be sitting at home alone. So,
so you jumped right in there with him and got into the hands-on projects?
Mm-hmm.
What was your specialty, Joanna? I'm curious. Like, were you painting? What were you doing mostly?
Everything. You're good at installing insulation.
I love that. I love that. It's not often that we talk to other investing couples where both the husband and the wife are equally into the endeavor together. A lot of times one or the other is, or they're both completely sort of hands off and managing it through other contractors. But talking to a young couple who's getting in there, getting their hands dirty is exciting and inspiring. And it resonates with us because we've definitely been there.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm curious, though, a lot of people, you're talking a year after graduating that you started investing. You said you put 20% down. That's $50,000. And then there's closing costs on top of that. A lot of people are just tripped up because they're graduating with 6 figures in student loans and things like that. And they want to get started, but they don't have the funding. And then so they start thinking about, hey, I got to borrow money, this and that. How were you able to just get started right after graduating?
Right. So I had a job before I even graduated.
Nice.
I also had an internship before that, which paid pretty well. And then, so from that, and then throughout my year of working in my senior year, saving that money, which it wasn't a lot, but it added up over a year. This whole time I'm living at home, so my expenses are very, very minimal. And then upon graduation, just collecting everything you make. We did get starting bonuses at our job, so that helped a little bit as well. But it really was just not spending it on dumb stuff. And then over a year, it accumulates slowly.
Was it your internship that turned into that first job? Just curious.
Yes.
It was. Yeah, I feel like, we've addressed it on the podcast and other episodes too about the importance of when you're in college, trying to do things as smartly as you can, like get into the field that you're pursuing as early as you can, to get the experience, hands-on experience, and oftentimes that does translate into a job as well. I know that was the case for you.
And the case for me too was choosing to live at home and commute to school, and picking that school specifically because it was commutable. I had 3 choices, but the other 2 were not commutable, so I chose the same school Marcin did, Stevens in Hoboken, New Jersey, because I could commute to it, and that saved me $10,000 a year in living costs.
Exactly. So, that was the big point for us too. I commuted as well,
right?
And why pay the extra money, to live a 15-minute drive to Hoboken.
Right.
So, that helped out. Also, I was doing, some eBay stuff that I started in high school and kind of kept that going through college, which also, helped me save a little bit more money. And then eventually I stopped doing that and just started focusing on real estate completely.
And to this point, to this time, 9 years later, when 2020, you started in 2011, how many houses have you flipped? Do you know off the top of your head?
Somewhere in the between 15 and 17.
Okay.
Wow.
Somewhere around there. Right. This year, we're doing 5.
Wow.
My gosh.
So you've just slowly
That's
been
more than one a
accelerating.
year. That's a lot.
It started out very slow. So it started out about 1 a year. And then, we kind of got to 2 almost a year. Like, we would buy one and then buy one more in a year, but finish it next year. And about 2 years ago, we really started getting much, much more, I guess, into it. And we were into it the whole time, but we got much more dedicated into looking for more properties more quickly. And this year, we are going through 5. We're not going to finish all 5 this year, but we got into 5 of them, and we'll finish. One will finish in mid-January, the other one probably early February, and the last one probably somewhere in June, before June.
Wow. So you've really got a lot on your plate, juggling 5 renovations all at once. I wanted to jump back to your starting time when you were entering into real estate and just ask about, you had mentioned that you really had no prior experience. Your family members hadn't either. You did do a lot of the work together with your dad, and then later when Joanna came into the picture with her as well. But how did you learn the skills you needed to gain the knowledge to do this work? Because I feel like a lot of people get intimidated by, I don't know how to
hang drywall,
right,
install insulation,
put in new cabinets.
Totally. It's I don't have a great answer for that because I have like a knack for it. I guess well, let me clarify. I don't do any electrical. Right? I don't do plumbing. I don't do HVAC. Anything that needs a license, I just don't really touch. And I can't say I know how to do. But everything else, like building related, it just, for the most part, seemed pretty simple, right? You can obviously screw up a lot of things, but, I just got a miter saw and started going at it, got some basic tools and away we go. And slowly, you obviously make mistakes, but, it's on pretty much 90-degree corners, it isn't too difficult once you get the hang of it.
Right.
But again, I don't have a great answer. Some people really, really, really hate doing any sort of physical work, and it'll probably be much more difficult for them. For me and for Joanna, we didn't really mind, learning it. So it's just, slowly just trial and error. And I guess just having a knack for it, helped out. And also, having the drive to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm curious, over the last 9 years, you said 15 to 17 houses. How many of them, have any of them been, not profitable, where you just kind of broke even or you lost some money on them, or have they all kind of been wins for you guys?
We made money on every single one. There was one where we made money, but it probably was not worth doing. But it still profited us.
Okay. And do you think you've just been lucky, or you think, I don't know, you just you really analyze, you made a formula that really works?
I wouldn't call it luck completely. But I'm sure there's some, there's definitely luck in it, because you never know what's going to be behind the walls.
Yeah. Yeah, you've even bought like houses sight unseen before, right?
Yeah. I mean, recently we got into, spec building, so building new houses, pretty much from scratch. So those are a little bit easier. Like, you can buy that sight unseen because it doesn't really matter,
as long as tear it down anyway.
Yeah, as long as the soil is clean. There's no like oil contamination, stuff like that. It doesn't matter what's in the house. If there's knob and tube, who cares? It's gonna go out. If you have some weird things that are difficult to fix on regular flips, it doesn't really matter when you're spec building. So those, buying sight unseen is, again, not a big deal. But for regular, if we're doing just a flip, we definitely go see it to make sure we have our costs in line. But regarding formula, I don't really have a special formula to go out and purchase a house. We have a minimum income we want to see on each property, and we
usually set up a budget too.
Right,
so
we set up.
Try to stick to the budgets.
We try to. Often fail. Especially in 2020 with the crazy prices of lumber. Yeah, that took us off guard. But it's every house is so unique, especially here in our area. There's not that many cookie cutters, so it's it's tough to have like a formula. Right. As you say, like every house needs something different, and you just have to just know your costs to the best you can, and really try not to lie to yourself with the numbers, as I sometimes do, but I should not.
And I'm sure like the things you've been taking on has evolved, right? Like, you wouldn't have picked that first house to be a spec build, as you called it, right? You wouldn't have you kind of started with a more, I guess, ready to go kind of house to flip.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a renovation, so we didn't expand the house in any ways. We did put in a brand new bathroom that wasn't there before. So that was like a little bit more than, I guess, looking back at it, probably would not have done that. But it worked out well. It wasn't a big deal at all. But yeah, it was just cosmetic for the most part. New bathrooms, new kitchens, new flooring. And, we continued that for quite a while before we got into actual building.
And I'm curious, your family circumstances have now changed, right? You guys have a 1-year-old, not quite 1-year-old, 2-year-old. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Wow. 2-year-old now. So how has that kind of transformed your guys' partnership and your relationship and, this endeavor that you guys are continuing to do with flipping houses?
Well, it definitely changed things for me.
Yeah.
I can't go to work at the house anymore, because someone has to stay with the baby. And for you, it changed a little bit.
It changed a little bit in that we don't really do as much on these properties anymore. We pretty much hire everything out now. There are still things I will go and do, like very minor knickknacks that you just can't find anybody to do.
Or when we run out over budget.
Over budget, you got to get to work.
when we're crazy over budget, which hasn't really happened that bad. I mean, it's mostly honestly for like knickknacks.
Yeah.
You know, things I can't even really tell you, but you know, there's so many minor things that have to get done that, you know, you just miss when, you know, your contractor is there. You're just like, I'll just go and I'll just do it. It's gonna take me like an hour or 2 hours. It usually takes 4 hours, but you know, it's sometimes just easier than, you know, at least for now. If we were doing many more at a time, then no. But for now, it's just, you know, it's not that big of a deal to go and do it. Most of my time right now is spent driving around from house to house and just seeing where everything's at. You know, talking with the subcontractors, making sure, you know, everything's on point with what they're doing, and making sure their questions are answered. Because, you know, plans always change throughout the build of the house. Even though they have the architect's drawings, there's still, you know, throughout the whole build, there's always something being adjusted. You know, minor things, not like major, but even those minor things, especially for your, you know, electrical and your plumbing, you know, you have to be talking all the time, making sure, you know, they understand. Even silly things like knowing which way the door is going to swing open, so you know where to put, like, right. Just, you know, again, it's on the plans, but you know, you never know, something might change, and so, you know, that's mostly what most of my time is spent doing. And then, you know, looking, you know, purchasing materials, you know, online, looking for the stuff we need, ordering it, that type of stuff, running from city hall to city hall, and you know, dealing with crazy neighbors, that type of stuff.
How did you build your team of contractors to work with? Do you work with the same individuals with each project, or does it change per project and you find new team workers? I know that's a big question a lot of investors have, is how do I find the right team that will support me and not charge me $1 million?
Yeah, that's that it took a long time. And for the most part, we work with the same people all the time. When we started, you know, we were doing a good amount on our own, except hiring out the license stuff. And, you know, we went through a lot of bad contractors, you know, not necessarily the most expensive ones, but, you know, difficult to deal with ones, or, you know, ones that wouldn't show up on time, then run over budget, well, you know, run over the budgeted time, you know, slowing everything down, you know, contractors just running away when they got some money. You know, we've been through all of that stuff, but eventually, you know, as you do more of these and you meet other people in the industry, you just, you know, you find the people that are good to work with, and sometimes it pays to pay them more, but have, you know, good people that will take care of a lot of stuff for you on your behalf, even as a sub, instead of, you know, getting the cheapest person and having to run around and making sure they have everything they need to work, because that's, you know, that costs a lot to, you know, getting, you know, everything for them. So, but again, it was just, you know, through networking, right, with other people, and even, you know, family, who they know and whatnot. And, you know, we're still always looking. You know, we think we have pretty much everybody, but even good contractors turn bad eventually. So unfortunately, so it's, you know, it's a constant struggle, but it does get a little bit easier as you do more, and you speak with others, and, you know, kind of have recommendations coming in from other sources.
Since you've gotten into the real estate investing area, have you noticed if you've inspired any other family members to get into it, and friends? Like, has your experience kind of helped lift up other couples and people that you know around you? other than us, because you definitely were our motivators and inspiration to actually take the leap.
Did we?
A little bit. Your cousin is.
My cousin
looks.
Yeah, my cousin kind of got into it recently. At first, he was really like against it. And then he ended up buying a fixer-upper house, and like it turned out really well for him. He's living in it, and now he's all like, "Oh, I gotta find the house to flip." And then he's just texting me, asking me questions all the time. Yeah, I'm like, dude, I told you, you should have done this a while ago. But other than that, not really. I mean, you know, at work, you know, a good amount of people know what I do, but you know, everybody's so just, you know, tied up in their day jobs and just trying to climb the ladder that they think it's, you know, black magic or something. They don't want to touch it. You know, a lot of people don't understand it and aren't willing to learn about it.
Right.
You know, many people are completely ignorant of it. You know, you'll talk to them about, you know, cash flow, cash on cash return, that type of stuff, and they just don't understand exactly. They don't comprehend it. You know, they hear you, but they just can't, like, I guess, wrap their mind around it.
Right.
You know, we talk about rental properties, and all they think about is headaches. Right? You know, if you tell them, oh, you can get this type of a cash flow from rental property, they're like, no, I don't really see it. You know, but then you got to pay your mortgage, blah blah blah, and they're like, you know, they think. They don't understand that cash flow is the money in your pocket. They just, and it's tough explaining to some of these, you know, very career oriented people.
Yeah.
And that's the industry where I work in. So, you know, I can't blame them, but there's more for us because they're doing their stuff. So at work, not really. Everybody's pretty much, you know, doing their own thing.
So I'm curious about you two, because you both are still working professionally, you know, and doing this while working full time. What is the end goal? Do you think you're going to continue to climb your own corporate ladders, or say, you know, make this flipping business or this more of a full-time thing for yourselves, or just keep doing both? What's your plan?
Well, the goal is to retire as soon as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, personally, my goal is I'm not climbing the ladder. I've pretty much made that decision 3 years ago. At this point, I'm for the most part coasting in my job. You know, I work from home, which is really nice and definitely allows me to expand the flipping business. So I'm not looking to have my time spent more at a job. Regarding, you know, expanding the business, yeah, I do want to. There is a limit as to how much I want to do. I don't want to go crazy and then, you know, have my life just engulfed by it and constantly be, you know, stressing about, you know, all these properties. So there's a limit. I think 5 per year is a really nice number. That's kind of where I would like to be. And in terms of retirement, I don't think I can retire completely. I don't think I can do nothing. I thought I did. I thought I could, but I don't think I can. You
like to be busy.
yeah, I like to be doing something.
Right.
You know, I thought I would quit my job. I was thinking of quitting in March of 2020. In 2019, I thought March 2020 was going to be it. But then COVID came, and I figured, nah, I'll stay a little longer. And obviously, since then, you know, they let us work from home completely. Even before that, we were kind of hybrid. I was working from home a couple of days. Joanna was working from home a couple of days. So we had a taste of that. And, you know, when we're working from home, we really have a lot of freedom. My job, especially, I don't really have to sit in front of the computer all the time. I can easily get up and go pretty much whenever I please to see what's going on with, you know, the project. So it's really convenient for me and doesn't really make sense to leave at the moment. But, you know, if we were to go back full time into the office, if they made that a priority, then, you know, it's possible that I would leave the job. But who knows? Who knows what this might last a lot longer, right? So we might be working from home for quite a while.
Right.
But I definitely see myself going more into the real estate direction than the corporate world. And for you, I don't know what you want to do.
Right now, I don't mind working. Working from home is pretty convenient, even with a little one at home. So I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
when the little one goes to school, I don't really want to sit at home and do nothing.
Right.
It's tough to predict, right?
Yeah.
It's I personally, I don't even really know what I want.
Right.
But kind of what we have right now is I'm really happy with what we have right now.
Yeah.
The way it's going.
Working out well.
Yeah, it's nice to have the insurance from the corporate job.
Yeah.
In my case, personally, it's great to have the freedom that I have from the corporate job that allows me to do other things. If I didn't have the job, maybe I could do a little bit more, but probably not. Probably not really, not really. So we're not looking to retire.
Yeah. No, but I think it eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you bring up a good point there about, purpose behind why we do things, that sometimes sticking with a job is not something you do because you have to. It's actually something that you find purpose in and fulfillment in, and therefore that's why you want to continue with it in your life, And I think the key is just finding the balance where your jobs and whatever you're investing your time into are things that you have consciously decided you want to do versus feeling entrapped and that you have to be there in order to survive or something like that, And I think striking that balance between fulfillment and purpose can mean you can continue to work. Continuing to work your whole life can be actually a really enriching thing for a lot of people, as long as it's something that deep down you want to be doing, not that you feel forced into because you have to just to get by. And I think that's the key. And I think early retirement is a wonderful sounding thing too, but like you said, when you really think it through, if you don't have a purpose for what you're going to do with your time once you leave your day job, then it can actually be very unfulfilling if there isn't intentionality behind it.
Yeah, but I think also it's very smart that you intentionally kind of design your job to be, the workload that you wanted. You didn't want to be chasing after these promotions and working, putting 50% more effort into it, just because you find so much more fulfillment having extra energy to work on other pursuits. And that's the same way with my job too. I chose, to work in my job because I knew I was only going to be working a maximum 40 hours a week. And it wasn't going to be like my other people who got hired into private industry who were working 60, 80 hours. And then they're just spent, they just come home and they just want to watch TV because all 100% of their energy is completely drained by their job.
Exactly. That's the main point.
Right.
Designing your job that you can still keep it, but do something on the side that, you really enjoy.
Right.
I think that's and it's difficult. It's difficult for a lot of people to find that, and it took me many years to get to that point in my job. I jumped from a couple of groups within my company, and eventually I stumbled across this position that allowed me this flexibility, and here I am. Not I don't love the industry or the job, but I tolerate it. It provides me the freedom that I need. Plus, there's a safety net and it has the insurance and all the benefits, which you can't really deny that it's good to have that.
Right.
So, it's easy to say, oh, I'll quit my job and I'll do this or that, but sometimes it makes sense to stay a little bit longer.
Right. Right. And I think, 2020 has been a very transformative year for a lot of industries. A lot of change has been happening. And I think it's brought a lot of working remotely and all that comes with that. I think, people are starting to realize when you work remotely, sometimes your productivity can actually really increase. You can still do the same amount of work you did, in an 8-hour day behind a cubicle, but now even have more room to balance more of a work-life balance at home, which is a lot more fulfilling, hopefully, for people.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been a proponent of working from home. Even before COVID, we were working from home. So when we had the baby,
it all started with Jacob, because I had to go back to work. We didn't want to put Jacob to a daycare. So we negotiated a little bit. So I was allowed to work from home, and then when I had to go to work, Marcin was allowed to work from home. So
that's fantastic.
It was working great.
It was working
and we
great.
really, really liked it. So
Was that hard to bring up to your boss, or was it kind of commonplace for other workers to work from home?
I was actually afraid it's not gonna work out at all. I wasn't sure if they will be even willing to try. But I was thinking like, why not to try to ask?
Right.
If I'm gonna lose my job, I'm gonna lose my job. If they don't allow me, I'm gonna quit anyway. So.
Okay.
Right.
So you had that resolution.
They said like, okay, let's try it, and we'll see if it's working out. That's great. If it's not working out, then we'll find someone else. We'll train the person, and you'll leave. And thank God it all worked out.
Wow.
See, I think that courage is so important to be able to ask. A lot of people are too afraid to even
it is scary. It is scary.
It definitely wasn't easy.
I had the same talk with my manager because Joanna did have to go to work 1 day a week. She had to go to work, and I asked to have that day permanently work from home, and I did get that. And then luckily for me, my manager had a baby 3 months before us. And about a week after I asked her, she declares to us she's going to be working from home all the time. So after that happened, I started, doing a little bit more days from home per week. So we were in this hybrid mode before COVID for about a year. And it really, helped us get a lot more done with, family time as well as the real estate stuff.
Yeah, I think it's still like really cool, because like I said, we talk to a lot of investors, but a lot of them don't have that same kind of like partnership, like almost like your spouse is your like business partner too. And I think that's so cool with you guys and seeing that. So I'm a little curious too, because like I feel like we do a lot together too, and like we're always working on different things. We're always like, even like now we live in a single family house, but we're still painting things all the time and working on this and that. People are always asking us like, how do you have time to do that all? And I'm wondering like, do you guys like feel, I don't know, it sounds like really doing this flipping business is your hobby. Like you have so much fun and interest doing it, and it makes money, so it's awesome. Do you have any other hobbies, or is that really like your main focus, your main hobby?
For me personally, I guess, it is in a way a hobby. I mean, it started off as a hobby for sure. But there are very stressful moments. So I don't know if it's a hobby anymore. It's definitely more of a job at this point. But I do enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. Even the bad things and solving them. In regards to other hobbies, I play guitar sometimes. A lot of kids songs right now. That's pretty much it for hobbies. Just hanging out with the family, really.
Yeah, that's the best. Spending time together.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you do, Joanna, for your hobby, or it's really just investing it all into Jacob right now?
I do enjoy baking.
Baking?
Oh, nice. Yeah. You have any special dishes that you make?
No, not really. Just trying new stuff.
A lot of sweet stuff.
Sweet, yeah.
A lot of pies.
Cookies.
Pies and cookies. I recently got into apple butter making. We went apple picking, and then I'm like, what can I do with all these apples? And I made apple butter. So now I'm on this whole inspiration of trying to learn how to do canning and make jams and stuff. So we'll see where that goes.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool. And they can last you all winter.
Yeah. I feel like the options are limitless. Like I could make a garden and start making pickles. And anyway.
So I'm curious, if you guys were able to like turn back time and redo things, starting your lives out together, would you kind of just do? I mean, it sounds like you've been have very successful track record, doing these flips and doing this real estate business while doing your full-time jobs. But is there anything you would do differently, like if you were like 18 years old again and thinking about your future? And I don't know, is there anything you would change, or what would you do differently?
I mean, I'm pretty happy with what we did, but if I had to change one thing, I would have purchased more rentals. There was a lot of rentals that we had the opportunity to buy back in 2012, 2013, when we were buying them at the time, and seeing now what they would have been worth, what we could have gotten them for, we passed them up because we always thought, too expensive. So that's one thing I would definitely change.
How many rentals do you hold, and then how many of the deals that you've done are mostly flips? Do you have a preference?
It's primarily flipping. We own 3 multifamilies, 10 units total.
Okay.
And we definitely looked through many of them, especially in those early years. Because actually, after the first flip we did in 2012, we purchased our first 2 rentals in that same year. So in August, August of 2012, we purchased the first one, and December of 2012, we purchased the second one. And then we pretty much stopped buying rentals. The primary reason for stopping the purchase of rentals is because money was always tied up in the flips. But looking back at it, I kind of wish we made it a little bit more of a priority to buy a couple more back then. And that's the one thing I kind of look back, and I still remember a lot of those houses that we walked through. I'm having like flashbacks right now, like, oh man, those are good properties.
Right.
We could have given that extra $10K and just had the house.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. I feel like even when we were starting to look, the market was very different at that time, and we've seen it increase dramatically in the past 4 years or so, 5 years.
Yeah, especially for multifamily.
Yeah, and now we have friends and family who are, getting interested in pursuing it, but it's a totally different world than it was when we started out. And I think back to, like, if we had bought those then, we'd be sitting real pretty right now.
Yeah. It's funny because they all try to compare, like, our purchase price to what's going on now, and it's like, you can't compare a decade ago.
Yeah.
But everybody, they hear your story and they're just like, oh, this is way overpriced. It's not really overpriced anymore. This is the new market value. So,
right.
But yeah, I wish we made it more of a priority. Maybe let go a couple of those earlier flips, and bought a couple of those other rentals. But it's all good.
Do you wish you had them for the passive income streams that come from rentals, or do you wish you had them for the flipping potential for them at this point in time? Just curious.
The income.
The income, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important differentiation to mention too. When you're considering going into real estate, there's different ways you can go about it. You can either go the buy and hold, or you can go the flipping route, and the flipping route kind of gives you higher returns at a quicker pace.
Yeah, those 50,000 injections like you were talking about.
But then you have to continually do them, otherwise they just end when you sell the house, versus if you do a buy and hold, you don't get a return like that. Your money's a bit more tied up in the house for a longer amount of time, but you get that slow, steady trickle of income that will come in, for however long you choose to own the building.
Plus mortgage payoff.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like if we were just a couple at the time, I might have gotten into like the flipping side, but we already had a 6-month-old, so I felt like, the buy and hold made sense. We, it took a lot of work still to get it the way we wanted to, but once we got it there, it wasn't going to take that much more input.
We weren't restarting again.
Right. With flipping, I feel like it just would have taken too much time away. We couldn't both be working on the house because one of us has to take care of the baby. But since you guys already had that background and stuff, it definitely makes sense. Now you built up the team of contractors you trust. Right. So it made sense.
Yeah, once you kind of start, it's hard to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a little bit addicting. I agree. So many times Sonny's like, all right, we're done. And I'm like, we're done till we find the next deal. And then every time we buy one, I'm like, oh, why did we do this? I forgot about all this.
Yeah.
And then,
the roller coaster of emotions. Yeah. It's,
right.
Almost every single deal is a roller coaster of emotions. It got better now. But back when we started, it was like, oh yeah, look at this great deal, let's buy it. Then halfway into it, I'm like, this is terrible. I'm never doing this again. It's a waste of my time. And then you sell it, you get a paycheck. You're like, oh, this is good. Let's look for the next one. But it definitely got it definitely got better at controlling the emotions right now. At this point, it's a little easier. I actually got my real estate license as an agent a year ago. And that helped out a lot. Having access to the MLS really gives me a lot more insight into what's going on with the market. Gives me more insight into each particular property that I'm looking at. This data is much more easily available. Running comps is much easier than before. So it gives us a lot more confidence in the properties we buy, and calculating the after repair values is definitely helps in that emotional roller coaster.
Right.
Yeah, and so I want to go back again to this like partnership. And like so many people like I talked to, like we just had someone pump our septic tank, and he's like, and I was like, oh, is that your wife who I talked to on the phone? It's like, no, you'd never hire your wife in a business transaction. That's the first way to ruin a marriage. And I feel like so many people have that mentality. But we talk about, I think on episode 9 of our podcast, like the 3 things like we feel like every like good couple should like try to strive for. And I think one is like really working as a team, instead of like when something bad happens, like like, hey, how did that happen? Why did you do that? You work together as a team. You lift each other up and find ways to solve the issue instead of blaming each other. And I feel like, I don't know, I get that sense from you two that you guys are good at that, because with real estate, like you said, it's a roller coaster ride of emotions. There's things that happen. A tenant calls you, or this flip that you thought was going to be a $20,000 fix, and now it's a $50,000 fix. And I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about that, how maybe you guys work together as a team, and instead of working against each other or blaming each other, just seeing each other through it.
Right. Well, when we get along really well, and there's no, everything we have is like together, right? So it's hard. I can't imagine blaming Joanna for something. I know she doesn't mean bad.
Right.
Or and the same thing for me. Like when I buy a house to build or flip, I say I now, because again Joanna's with a baby a lot. So
I'm busy with the baby.
Real estate stuff. She knows I'm not going to buy something to make us lose money intentionally, or bring some other bad things onto us. We obviously try to always do what's right, and I guess it's easy because we're both pretty how do I say, like, we're very agreeable. Yeah, we're very agreeable, and we know we're just trying to do what's best for the family, and but you can't be perfect.
Right.
So we work together through the problems, and we just see what possible outs we have in the situation, and we just decide what to do. If we have to take a hit, whether it be a financial hit or a time hit, we do it.
Right.
And it's not that bad. I mean, even if you lose money, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously it's not fun, but there are many, many worse things in life. So you just got to look at the bright side and
keep it all in perspective, right? What's truly important in this life is maintaining the relationships that are important, your family, your wife, your children, and all the rest of it. You can ride over that as long as the core is solid, right?
Yeah, as long as you got a roof over your head, as long as you obviously have, some money and, some savings, if you, pursue a project that, loses you money, it's not a guaranteed build, it's a spec build, right? It's speculative for a reason. So, just like any investment, you have to be prepared that things will go wrong.
Right. They always do.
Always.
You can be sure of that.
So you just take it in the chin and keep on moving forward.
Right.
So guys, I think we're kind of wrapping up here, but for the listeners who are listening to your story and really love what you guys are talking about, I'm just curious if you guys have like a quote, a book, some kind of resource that really helped you out, or just something that motivates you that you want to share.
Right, it could be real estate related, or it could be just life in general.
Do you have anything?
I don't think so.
No, so my favorite book is Richest Man in Babylon. I like it. It's short and sweet and to the point.
Did you read that before your real estate journey?
I read it in the beginning of the journey.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites too.
Quotes, not really. I see a lot of quotes I like, but I don't memorize them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you guys, had one thing you wish like you could inspire by, people listening, what you would like them to take action on, what would you say?
Well, I would say start investing as soon as you can into anything. It doesn't have to be real estate, but as soon as you get out of high school or out of college, and get that first job, put away some money. Don't buy dumb stuff because it's not worth it. I went through the phase of buying stupid things, and it really almost cost me a lot of money. And save. Don't go crazy with the saving, but definitely save money and put it away into investments and just give it time, because it really accumulates and starts growing quickly.
Yeah, I think making those smart decisions early on, commuting from home, living at home after graduating, so you can save those housing expenses, even grocery expenses. You can eat your mom's cooking. Really goes so long, and yeah, it seems like small savings, but the opportunity cost. You're able to get started a year after graduating, rather than if you had 6 figures in student loan debt, maybe that would have been 6-7 years later, and by that time, the market has exploded. So you're able to get in really at the ground floor, and I think that's been such a massive for your where you are now today.
A quick little story for you guys that I tell a lot of people. The story is after I graduated, one of the stupidest things I did was bought a new car. It wasn't a brand new car; it was a 2-year-old car, but new to me. Even though I had a perfectly fine car, even a better car for what I needed. But I bought a sports car. I paid I think $30,000 for it. Just incredibly stupid. I mean, even now at this point where we're at, I can't even buy a $30,000 car because I just think it's way too much.
Right.
But anyways, I bought the car because I thought, I could afford the payments. That's great. And everything's going good. I did the first flip. I got the first rental without too much of a hassle. Then the second rental came up, and we're going through the mortgage and it's getting a little tight. It's your DTI is is a little bit of an issue.
Debt to income ratio.
Yes, because you have that car payment, and that kind of like it first dawned on me like, oh man, am I about to lose like a really good deal because of a stupid car? That really, we still have that car. It's obviously paid off a year ago, but it's a property that I purchased at the time for $320,000. Long story short, we ended up getting it, but it was it was very close to being scratched from the table. That's now worth close to $600,000. That brings in what, like 20,000 a year in passive income, cash flow. And one year of this property just bringing cash flow is enough to buy this car now. And it would have just been terrible to looking back at that, to lose something like that just because of a silly thing like a car that I can't even fit a baby seat into.
Can't grow with it.
No. So I tell this story to a lot of people, because obviously everybody likes to buy shiny things.
Yeah.
And I quickly, got my fix from that when I saw what they really can cost me.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be a $30,000 car; it would actually be a $500,000 car that
costs a lot of freedom.
Right. That's good. You figured out that lesson early on. Some people never learn it, and
some people never do. Some people, I mean, I get it if you really, really enjoy cars, and everybody has their thing, but you just have to everything in moderation.
Right.
So you have to try to if your income is a certain amount, lower your price bracket.
Right.
The cars you want to buy, or you can't go crazy. You gotta be careful with that stuff.
Right. Otherwise, you're just bringing stress into your life.
Yeah. It's car payments are no fun. We haven't had a car payment since then. Everything else was just cash.
Nice.
Older cars. But it definitely can get out of hand really quickly. Buying all those liabilities.
Yeah, just chasing the latest thing. Marcin, Joanna, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If people, love your story, want to reach out, is there a way that they can contact you, send you a message?
They can reach me either on Facebook, or they can reach out to me on Instagram.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll have those links in the show notes. So thanks again so much for coming on the show.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us.